Hey guys, Mr. PIB's been on me, so I'm doing another video on this van. So a little recap, this van set for a whole lot of years. I have gone through the entire brake system, calipers, pads, hoses, master cylinder, rear shoes, rear wheel cylinders, everything on the brakes, the rear hose, everything on the brakes are new, with the exception of the rear hubs and the front rotors. They look good. I've got new wheel bearings coming, inner and outer wheel bearings. Nothing wrong with these, but I just want to change them. I'm changing everything on it. I plan on driving this thing. The more I work on it, the more I think I might just sell it. But either way, I want it to be a good, dependable van. Somebody could get in and take off. 350, 3-speed on the column. Put a new clutch, pressure plate, throw-out bearing, flywheel, all that in it. New universal joints. I went through the entire rear end. New axle bearings, pinion bearings, axle seals. I put another carrier in it out of a C10 rear end, a 307 gear. It had a 342 in it. So it's a little higher gear now than it was, but it's got a good highway gear. It goes really good down the road. New tires, just all kinds of new stuff. Fuel hoses. I've got a new alternator, a new water pump, new radiator hoses. God, I don't know what all I've put on it. New blower motor for the heater. I got it working, but the switch is janky. I'm going to have to get a switch. New headlight bulbs, new bulbs in the side markers, new lenses. My daughter actually just helped me put these on. Pretty simple little job, but it really lit her up. I ordered some with the chrome in them. I ordered myself and Mr. PIB a set, and they just never shipped. They just sat there in limbo for so long, and finally just got my money back, and I ordered just the standard marker lenses. That's what came on the van, so that's what I put back on it. This old van's not really anything special, so I'm good with that. I'd like to find some new taillight lenses. I did put new bulbs in the taillights and the reverse lights. The reverse lights don't work. That's the only lights that don't on it that don't work. I lowered it 2 inches in the front, round about the same in the rear. It's got just a little bit of a rake, but before it had a lot of rake. So I've took an overload and a leaf out of one side and a leaf out of the other. The van was kind of cocked a little bit when I got it, so it's level in the back. I adjusted my camber out a little bit on the front. I would like to eventually take it and get a front end alignment, but it's very close. It drives good and straight. It's not squalling going around curves, nothing like that. A whole lot of work, guys. I've thrown a whole lot of work at this thing. A whole lot of parts, time, money, probably more than the van's worth. Matter of fact, I know I have. But it is what it is. Also new plugs, wires, coil, module, went through the carburetor. I've done a whole lot of work to this thing. I'm sure I've done a whole lot that I'm forgetting. New upper and lower ball joints. I've got new inner and outer tie rods. Nothing wrong with the tie rods on it, but like I said, I'm going to get it lined up. Might as well put new tie rods on it. Not that big of a deal to do it. So anyway, it is what it is, guys. I got to get it out, get it cleaned up, get this blue off these tires. I'm going to change the seats in it. I've got a box truck. Most of y'all have probably seen it. It's got blue seats. This van's supposed to have blue seats, but someone has changed them through the years. They're brown now, but and the seats in the box truck are a little bit better seats. But anyway, the old van looks pretty good. It's got a good stance to it, I think. I will try to get it pulled out and cleaned up one day and do another video so you can kind of see the stance a little bit better. But I like how it sets. Not had any issues with rubbing or scrubbing up here, so I'm content. The old van will do what I need it to do, which is basically just run around to swap meets, maybe some cruise ins and stuff. Some people are going to look at it and make fun of it, and then some people will appreciate it. Like I've said in my other videos, a lot of these vans, they've been sacrificed for their drivetrains over the years. Used to, when I was a kid, when I was younger, if you wanted a good running motor, the best thing you could do was find an old van, something that was fairly low miles, especially some of the big kind of highway vans, with the fancy interior and stuff in them that people had kind of gave up on. Maybe the transmission went bad or the rear end or something, and they just parked them. The motors were still really good. You could buy the old van, jerk the motor out, and scrap the rest of it and get some of your money back, if not all of it, especially if you had enough junk to pile up in them and, clean up a mess and get your money back for your motor. So a lot of these old things, like I said, they got junked. They're big, they were heavy. Scrap metal was up, you know, some years ago, early 2000s, I guess. Scrap metal went through the roof. And, you know, all this old stuff, it got hauled off to the scrapper. Cash for clunkers. I know that was another one that hit a lot of OBS trucks, square body trucks. I remember going to some of the local junkyards when they had cash for clunkers, and there was some pretty nice OBS trucks. And it was such a shame. There was one, and I'll never forget it. It was at Purdy's in Sweetwater, and it was a Z71, it was a Silverado Sport 4-wheel drive, V8 5-speed, black on red, and this thing was sharp. I mean, it was good paint, good interior. I mean, just a slick old truck. But when you traded one in for cash for clunkers, they poured something in the motors, and the service techs, they got out there and they held them to the floor and blowed the engines up. And then they sent them to the junkyard, and you could not buy them. You could not buy them and put them back on the road. They had to be destroyed. And it's such a shame. We lost a lot of nice vehicles. But, you know, guys, at the time, I think they were giving like $4,000 for anything that you could. If you could get it on the lot, they'd give you $4,000 for it. And, you know, some of them old trucks and stuff, that's about what they were worth. So people took them, traded them in, got more user-friendly, gas-friendly vehicles, economical vehicles, I guess I should say. But, again, guys, a lot of these old vans, they just got junked and scrapped and tore apart. And, you know, especially the shorty vans. You know, that's why a lot of the shorty vans are so expensive. I mean, people want them, and there's just not a lot of them out there. And even the long wheelbase vans, I mean, there's not a lot of these out there anymore either, especially the round headlight. This was the last year for the round headlight in these vans. So it's a long wheelbase, which kind of kills it on the value, but it's more usable for me if I use it for swap meets and stuff. I may eventually try to find me a rear bumper or just take that one off and straighten it. Just little piddly things. If I keep it, I may or may not. But either way, if I sell it, at least it's back on the road. I think someone at this point would use this van instead of junking it. It's got so many new parts on it, and it really would make somebody a good van. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of show mostly Mr. PIB the stance of it. He's been wanting to see it. I'm not trying to bore you guys. I tried to set my GoPro up again the other night, and I kept running into it, backing into it, and I finally just gave up on that. But I am working toward that, guys. I just stay so busy. And when I get out here, I just don't have a lot of time to mess around. I'm usually wide open, and then when I'm done, I got to come out here and clean up my mess, or get out here the next day and clean up my mess so I can kind of reset and get started on something else. So this thing's awful close. Like I said, I want to do maybe the front tire rods, maybe the wheel bearings. It doesn't need either one, but I may go ahead and do them. It doesn't need an alternator or a water pump, but I'm a little more afraid of those two items than I am the wheel bearings and the inner and outer tire rods, because like I said, they are good. I've drove the van. There's nothing wrong with them. I think I've got an idler arm for it, a pitman arm. The pitman arm I have is for power steering, so I may put power steering on it. Still up in the air about that. But the biggest things that I want to change before I take off on a long trip, the heater hoses, the radiator hoses, the water pump, and the alternator and the belt. And I wouldn't be afraid to jump in it and go anywhere. It runs really good. I've adjusted the valves on it. I unhooked the battery before I remember Mr. PIB told me to do a video where I'd start it, but the motor's really good and quiet now. All the valve train noise is gone. It just had like 3 lifters, about a half a turn on each one of them, and they were perfect. So no issues there. Just a really good, solid old van. And like I said, I don't know. I might sell it, might trade it. It's hard to say with me, but I'm still playing with it right now. Guys, as always, I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.